For weeks, we've been talking about the Children's Grief Resource Center, an organization found 20 years ago that's helped more than 7,000 people. And this morning, you're hearing from one of them. Grace Eisner-Majid went to the Grief Center needing resources as a teenager and is now an adult volunteer.
When I was 13 in 2004, my dad died by suicide. It felt really isolating and like nobody really understood what I was going through.
Back then, Grace Eisner-Majid didn't know anyone who had lost a parent.
So my mom contacted the grief center and brought my sister and I to the support groups and found a lot of value in it.
It's here that Grace, her sister, and mom learned how to talk about her dad's death.
It feels comforting to know that somebody else is going through it.
In support groups, they felt less alone.
Grief is a never-ending process. While it feels different as you become further away from the event, it still feels really important to me to be able to remember my dad.
Which is why when she moved back to Albuquerque after finishing grad school, Grace decided to become a volunteer at the Children's Grief Center.
Because I want to make sure that this continues to be a resource for kids grieving, and it's a way for me to continue remembering and honoring my dad's memory.
I got my ticket for the lonely ride.
She works with kids who are similar in age to when she lost her dad.
I'm able to relate in a way that not many people can, and they're able to see that I have been able to heal and be productive and be happy. Seeing somebody who might be further along in their grief can feel really hopeful, and like there's kind of a light at the proverbial tunnel.
6 years after her dad's death, Grace had a baby.
I have an 11-year-old daughter named Olive.
And earlier this year, she got married with a photo of her dad in her bouquet.
My husband is a resident at UNM, and we live downtown and have a dog named Rusty.
Reaching out was the hardest part.
Everybody feels a little stiff or weird at the beginning. It's not easy to talk about death.
But 31-year-old Grace is so glad her 13-year-old self did.
To my 13-year-old self, I would say just that it gets easier and it gets better. And that it's going to be okay.
Grace's facilitator is actually now the executive director of the Children's Grief Center, and they are providing free online and in-person support groups as well as hosting a number of events. We'll be back after the break.